It's Fully Threaded Radio, episode 210.
Doing some research on this, what I learned is that a lost part typically takes about 4.8 hours to actually identify and recover and be able to react. And so if you can think about that from a fastener or to an assembly, 4.8 hours to be able to find, that missing component that can impact the production line and impact something getting out your door. And so the soft cost savings as well as the hard cost savings that come into play with that.
Hi, this is Cheryl Dunham of Sasco Fasteners here in San Francisco in the afterglow of the Pac West Spring Conference. I don't listen to Fully Threaded Radio, but my husband Steve does.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the mighty FCH Sourcing Network. If you buy, sell, manufacture, import, distribute industrial threaded fasteners, well, you clicked on the right podcast. Hey everybody, Eric Dudas here with you again, coming to you from semi-rural Northeast Ohio. And the co-host of Fully Threaded is with us as well. From the balmy Chicagoland area, it's Brian Musker. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing good, and it is very balmy. It's just sort of above freezing. It's sort of amazing, actually.
Kind of a nice break. This is episode 210 of Fully Threaded Radio. We'll be publishing this time on February 11th, 2025. It's been a good old-fashioned winter. We're getting a little reprieve. I expect it'll be back, but here's a podcast to help you going down the road if that's what you do, or driving to work, or sliding down the highway to work, which has happened a few times this winter too.
Oh, yeah. Sliding, not even on a highway, in your backyard.
Well, I was talking to Steve Dunham over at Sasco Fasteners up there in Medford, Oregon. Now, he's going to be our featured guest on today's episode. He and his wife, Cheryl, are retiring from Sasco after many years, as you'll hear. He was all thrilled that he was going to get to go to his second home, I guess it is. It's not a summer home, really, but because they were going to get snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell them to come to Chicago any old day of the week.
Don't worry, Bri. Hang tough. We'll make it to spring.
Yeah, no, I keep dreaming of spring.
But this is a great conversation with Steve, and he's been such a long-time friend of the podcast. Sorry to see him go.
And we interviewed him years ago.
He's been on the show several times. I think most recently when his company got hacked with ransomware.
That's right. Yeah.
But we'll say so long to Steve on the podcast as we open it up here today. On the Fastener News Report, Würth Industry USA Chief Operating Officer Jeff Schmitt joins Mike McNulty. The Fastener Distributor Index shocked a few people, took a little bit of a dip. Jeff's got some thoughts on that and turns into quite the conversation, actually. It's really another episode of the Mike McNulty Show is what we got here, Brian.
Really? Good.
Yeah, those two go at it, and then Mike's got a really nice back page story, plus another goodie or two tucked into this one. On the Fastener Training Minute, Carmen Vertullo talks about the lubrication of nuts used in structural applications. Hinging on his recent Skidmore Wilhelm episode is what I'm thinking here, Bri.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was on the road, and I kind of snuck up on him and said, we got to record it right now. And he just pulled this one out of his hip pocket, but it's another good one, Fastener Training Minute.
Cool. That's good.
And stick around to the closing segment on this one, folks, because Brian and I are going to take a look at ITR's recent pronouncement on their predicted worldwide depression.
Oh, yeah, it's been around the corner for years.
Yeah, those of you who have followed ITR economics, they show up here and there. The MFDA has them and others. They've been predicting this depression. Well, the MFDA held its annual economic meeting in January, and we got the takeaway on that one for you, at least as far as their depression goes, because let's face it, we're all kind of on the edge of our seat for that. And a lot of people pay attention to ITR, Bri.
Well, they should, but they've been harping on this whole same subject for years. It's always long enough, far enough in the distance that you can forget about it.
Yeah, well, it's getting a little closer. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people do pay attention to them. And we're glad a few people pay attention to us, too. And that's because of the wonderful support of our sponsors that make Fully Threaded Radio a reality. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded are Brighton Best International, Tested, Tried, True, Brighton Best, Goebel Fasteners, Quality the First Time, Go Goebel, and Star Stainless. Right off the shelf, it's Star. Fully Threaded is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, J-Land Franco, Solution Industries, Volt Industrial Plastics, Fastener Fair USA, and Würth Industry USA. The email address over here, should you care to comment or send a question our way, ftr@fullythreaded.com. We got some pretty good ones after the Skidmore Wilhelm episode, Bri.
Good.
Some of them were actually pretty humorous. Got a lot of eyebrows raised also with that segment on the truck tires falling off on the highway because they're improperly torqued.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, I have to say, just as well. I've had a tyre blow up on a truck just next to me that gave me a fright.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I've actually, well, I don't really know, but I've never seen a truck wheel going down the highway. But like they said, supposedly that happens 3 times a day in the U.S.
Wow, that's amazing.
Sure is. So we're going to say goodbye to Steve Dunham and Cheryl in just a minute. And during the conversation, he mentions that he is going to attend the Pacific West Fastener Association Spring Conference and Tabletop. So that's nice because I'll get to see him out there. That is happening, by the way, folks, March 13th through the 15th in Anaheim, California. Get out to pac-west.org to register. They've got a very nice lineup of attendees already, and their tabletop event is always quite well attended. That is going to happen this time. Let's see, take a look at this. It's March 14th, 3 to 7 p.m. So for some people, that's all they'll see at the conference. Others will be there all 3 days for the lineup. That's all on the website, pac-west.org.
Right.
Well worth your time. A lot of people will be there. And I know who will not be there, though, Bri. That's our old buddy D. Ward. You might remember he's been relocated to Malaysia, I believe he's based in, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's one for you before we cut over to Steve. Did you know that D. Ward is a doctor?
No, I did not.
Well, I didn't either. I was scanning through LinkedIn the other day. I saw this post from the International Prime Awards, and apparently D has been presented with their Outstanding Leadership in Global Business Expansion Award for 2025. And there's this giant slide with his name on it in front of this presentation committee, and it says Dr. D. Ward.
Wow, he kept that very well hidden.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. He'll be on in March. He promised we could record sometime in March, so we'll get with him on that then.
Okay, cool.
And actually, I don't think he is based in Malaysia. I think it's Singapore.
They're very close. Okay.
Yeah, but this award, I think, was presented in Malaysia.
Okay.
So he might have taken the copter over there for the evening. You never know. That's the way these high rollers do it, you know. All right. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, we have hardworking, in the trenches guys like Steve Dunham with Sasco. We're closing an era with this one. We could not have him on the podcast to sort of let him tip his hat to the industry. And let's get to that right here.
Right.
All right. This sounds a little weird. Joining me formerly from Sasco Fasteners, it's Steve Dunham. Hey, Steve.
Well, good morning from beautiful blue skies in Central Oregon, where I live just a portion of the time.
Yeah, well, you can live wherever you want now, is the way I hear it.
Pretty much. I'm not quite totally retired, but I've still got the train to keep on the track.
Okay, well, I should start this conversation by saying congratulations. We dropped on the last episode, or actually it was 208.
A couple months ago, yep.
I'm all messed up with the order these days. But anyway, congratulations on your retirement, and it's been a long ride. You've been a friend of the podcast for a long time. What's the synopsis for Fully Threaded listeners?
I have been listening to Fully Threaded since episode 1. Actually, I listened to it up here in Sun River, where I'm at right now. And you had either Bob or Joe Truckee on with you, who are good friends of mine.
Yeah, it would have been Joe, I think.
It was probably Joe. And we're sitting in the lodge contemplating buying property up here because we thoroughly enjoy this area of Oregon. It's got 4 golf courses and 30 miles of bike trails and walking trails and a fly fishing river that runs through it. It's just an absolutely beautiful place.
Well, you know how to do it, and you certainly earned a fancy retirement like that. You've been at it a long time, you and Cheryl. And for folks not familiar with Sasco, give us a thumbnail of what you've been doing these last few years.
Well,
leading up to this moment.
For the last 35 years, Cheryl and I have owned a small distributorship in Medford, Oregon, which is just 30 miles over the Oregon-California border, called Sasco Fasteners. And we are fairly small because we're a small community, taking care of MRO accounts, OEM accounts, contractors, both big and small. But we're kind of, in the scheme of things, kind of small potatoes. But after 45 years of being in the fastener business, all told, after 10 years in LA, I just decided it was time for us to make a move to someplace smaller, where I wasn't stuck on the freeway of Los Angeles for a good portion of my business day. So we moved up to Oregon with 2 small kids and found a way to make a living and enjoyed the heck out of it, every bit of it, and made some good friends, not only customers, but associates.
Well, we ran into each other originally through the Pac West.
Yep.
Of course, Pacific West Fastener Association, great place to meet people. And hats off to you, because in my opinion, you guys are the heartbeat of this industry. And that was one of the reasons I think we hit it off right away.
We did. And I'm, like you say, I think small business in general is the heartbeat of the nation. And the fastener business is typically full of a lot of small business entrepreneurs. And we all kind of have, a lot of us have a lot of just the same philosophies. That's what I've found anyway.
Yeah. So you've seen a lot of changes in the fastener industry, though, over this time. Do you have any observations looking back on it? I mean,
when I started in the fastener business 45 years ago, actually I was hired by a company called, some of the old timers might know, a company called Dave Grattan and Sons. And we were a fastener packager and also a manufacturer's rep. And our biggest line at the time was Roll Plug, which has become Powers, which has become now called Powers by DeWalt. But we were a rep for Powers Fastener, Roll Plug at the time, Milford Cutting Tools, Vulcan All Thread. So our territory was basically Southern California, from, say, Central Valley down to the California border. And, when we would go in, and my job was primarily to call on lumber yards and hardware stores and fastener houses and staff to houses, that basically anybody that was reselling product. And I would go in and physically write orders and then have to call those orders in. There was no faxes, there were payphones. That's how you communicated with the office. And then we kind of graduated into a courier system where I would write orders and then put them in an envelope, and they had a courier, subscribed to a courier service that would pick up these envelopes from different drop spots in Southern California, and all of us would put our orders in an envelope, and the courier system would pick them up and deliver them up to the office in San Gabriel Valley.
So you accumulated all this knowledge and got all these ideas for your own operation, and then when you moved up north to Medford, I'm sure you deployed a lot of that. So what kind of operation did you run up there?
Well, it was basically the same. We didn't call on, we weren't a manufacturer's rep, but we called on OEMs, MROs, large and small contractors, basically anybody that used product. And we had a a pretty significant will call business. We still do. A lot of people, it's a rural community, and a lot of people will just drive on in and figure, I could get what I need at Sasco. And they walk in and they get what they needed. So we cultivated relationships with a lot of the rural farmers and small contractors. We still really don't get into nails and staples, so we're out of that business. But, I just always figured, we need to have some kind of a minimum order just to make it like cost effective. So I just out of the air, I figured, what, we'll make a $5 minimum order. If you can't figure out that you need $5 worth of stuff, we got a whole showroom full of hand tools and abrasives and stuff that you use day in and day out anyway. So figure something out.
Once upon a time, $5 would actually buy you something.
Well, $5 would actually buy you something anymore.
Or how about if they came in with a couple chickens and they needed to just trade for a case of drywall screws?
We never did that. We never traded for goats or chickens.
All right. Wasn't that kind of place?
Yeah, no, not.
Well, I remember a few years ago when you visited us on the podcast and you just gone through that ransomware and you lost your ERP for a little while and you had to go back to paper. That was kind of a hair-raising episode.
That was scary. It was upsetting, but, you just plod on through it. I will tell you, as looking back on that experience, I had 2 or 3 customers that were just, I kind of, as I've eased into retirement here, and kind of my day-to-day, not obligation, but my day-to-day routine really is going in and seeing customers that we've dealt with for some 35 years or that I've made relationships with. And I've kind of categorized, I've got friends that are customers, I have customers that are friends, and then I have customers that many of them I plain don't know. But a lot of my friends that were customers, that were close friends with Cheryl and I, kind of knew of this transaction, for probably 6 months before it happened. We kind of signed a non-disclosure agreement, but, most of my friends are retiring or retired and are kind of pushing me as to, when are you going to retire? When are you going to retire? I said, well, there's a light at the end of this tunnel. But with that experience, when we had our ransomware, and I was sweating it. There's no getting around it. I had to go in and hand enter purchase orders, sales orders that we had lost during that time. And I had 2 or 3 customers that would come into my office and just check on me, how are you doing? And I had a couple of customers that would come in and say, you know what, let me sit down here in your office and let's just pray, because you could use that. And I said, you know what, I really could. And that meant the world to me, those people that would come in and just say, let's just pray together. As a Christian businessman, that means a lot.
Wow. Well, you made some deep connections there, Steve.
Yes, I have made deep connections not only with my customers, but with my associates and with my vendors as well. And that seems to have changed. Post-COVID. The vendor relationships have kind of wavered. There's a few vendors that either manufacturers, reps, or factory people that I've still got close relationships with. But a lot of them just, frankly, couldn't see their way fit to come down all the way to Medford, because it's, they say, oh, yeah, I'm going to come, you see them at a show, and, oh, yeah, I'm going to come see you. And I'd say, do you know what you're saying here? You're going to fly into Portland, and it's a 5-hour drive south, and you don't have a lot of places to call on between Portland and, there's maybe 3 or 4. You get to Eugene, and you go south on I-5, you got 2.5-hour drive before you get to Medford. And you might want to rethink this plan of coming to see Sasco in Medford.
Yeah, the ones who made it out there really made a statement, didn't they?
Oh, that's right. I knew that, okay, if you had the tenacity to come out to see me, I'm going to definitely make the time to see you.
Well, as you approached this time in your career, in your business, did you anticipate selling the company, or was that just something that came up and you took the advantage of the offer, or how did that go?
I had figured that this was going to happen eventually. I knew that my business was successful, quote unquote, whatever that means. We weren't making a ton of money. We weren't, a $5 million corporation, but we had the trust and the real and the I guess the goodwill, so to speak, of the community, and that was something that was sellable. But as things went on and people contacted me, knowing that okay, Steve's getting to that age and he's got to be thinking about it. My kids wanted nothing to do with the business. My son's an architect in Los Angeles. My daughter's a physical therapist over on the Oregon coast. So they wanted nothing really to do with it. So I figured, the time will come. Somebody will step up and say they were interested. And it happened. I had a number of offers, or not really offers, but inquiries, I'd say. But nothing really seemed like it was going to click. They were looking for somebody a lot larger than I was. And I had talked to other people that had sold their businesses to private equity firms and larger groups, and they just trashed the business from a personal standpoint. My employees had worked for me. Still have an employer. He's not really my employee anymore. He's their employee, but I had a fellow that has worked for me since I bought the business in 1990. He knows where I told the new owners, Rob and Troy Hilfiger from R&S, I said, Bob here, he knows where all the bodies are buried in this warehouse. You can come to him and I'll find something in the computer and go, what the hell do we have that for? Where would we keep it? And go out in the warehouse and go, Bob, do we have this? He goes, oh yeah, it's right here. And he'd take me right to it and point it straight there.
Yeah, every warehouse needs a Bob.
Every warehouse needs a Bob, and I would go back and look at the part and go, well, yeah, you just counted it 6 months ago. And he was kind of the guy that was my inventory control guy because he knew where everything was. So, I had most of my employees had been with me for, I'd say 5, 6, 7 years, if not 10. We've never really had a big turnover of people.
Well, you must have been doing things right.
I guess, yep.
Well, it sounds like you're doing things right on this side of it too, because you and Cheryl, you told me that you headed out to your summer place, or I don't know if it's necessarily summer, but
it's not summer right now. We're expecting 6 to 12 inches of snow tonight.
Okay, well, your getaway, put it that way.
Yep.
And you told me that over all these years, you'd never spent more than a couple days there, and now this will be your first 10-day stint. Was that it?
This is a 10-day stint. It's Cheryl's birthday. Actually, today is Cheryl's birthday. And our daughter's coming over from the coast with her husband and her big old gigantic 90-pound puppy dog to play in the snow. And I'm looking out the window going, well, there's a little bit of snow. Our place looks right out on the golf course, and there's a little bit of snow on the fairway. Duncan could go romp in the snow on the fairway, but we can probably take him up to Mount Bachelor, which is our ski area that's not too far from us. And I said, there's snow up there because Mount Bachelor's running. So I said, we can take him up to the snow park and let him play in the snow up there. That's great.
Well, Fastener dogs love to romp around in the snow. So, well, good going on that. It sounds like a great place. I hope you make it all 10 days. Again, this is the first that you'll be doing it. Yep. And it's appropriate, really, that it's Cheryl's birthday also, because I'm not going to let this conversation wind all the way down, Steve. Listen, hang on. We got to smooth out just one little sort of a point of tension before we close the door on this, right?
Go ahead.
So what was it that initially, all those years ago, what was it that rubbed Cheryl the wrong way? Why did Fully Threaded rub her the wrong way?
Probably because when we would drive up here, it's about a 3-hour drive from Medford up here to Sun River, which is in the center of the state of Oregon. So we got to go up and over the Cascades. And so in the early days, I would listen to the podcast on my phone, and it wouldn't pipe through my earplugs because I'd typically be driving. So she's going, why do you listen to this stuff? It's driving me crazy. I said, because it's of interest to me. And I think I kidded with you. I'm going, yeah, that's another 2.5 hours of my life I won't ever get back. Because the podcast tended to be rather long.
Yeah, well, perfect drive time.
And it's great drive time. No, it was perfect for drive time. So that's when I would listen to it, because either that or when I was spending time on the road or flying to a PacWest meeting or a STAFTA meeting or Sphere 1 meeting or something, I would, that's my time. Okay, fine. I've got this, this open time area. I can listen to that podcast. The other podcasts I listen to are maybe a half hour. That's usually my attention span.
Right. Well, I hope that she's forgiven us over the years.
She's forgiven you. She's upstairs. She's upstairs getting ready for the day. I asked her. I said, "Do you have any messages for Eric?" And she said she looks forward to seeing either one of you at the. We're planning on going to the PacWest meeting in March in Anaheim because Bob Reynolds and I have become very close friends through the years. Bob and Kim. And so when I saw Bob's name on the attendee list, and I said, "Bob, are you really planning on going?" And he goes, "Yeah, Kim and I are going. Are you guys going?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're thinking of going." I said, "I don't need to go to the educational meetings, but I'd kind of like to go to the social functions because I haven't seen these people, in a while because I just have been busy trying to prep this business to sell." And he says, "Well, come a couple of days early. We'll go play golf with the truckies and we'll go to dinner and we'll have some Captain Jack." That's how we would golf. We would golf with Captain Jack.
That is going to be epic. Oh, man. You're going to have some stories to tell on that one.
Oh, yeah. You can rat me out to Bob. You'll know exactly what.
Wow.
Not so much Rob, but Bob.
Yeah, long-time in-sequel users you were too. I should have mentioned that earlier on.
We were one of the originals, and that was one of the nice things with this sale is that these R&S Industrial Supply that bought us out are just really good guys. They use in-sequel. They have the same business philosophy as I do. They're kind of a family-first, Oregon-run business. Now they have 3 branches up and down the I-5 corridor. Which is, it's just a win-win thing. All my employees are taken care of. They're in place. They're, kind of having to learn a little bit of a new system or new ways of doing things, which are different than mine, but that's fine. They can deal with that. But they're just, it's a good company. And I'm really happy with the way things have turned out.
Wow, what a story. Well, I'm glad that we stumbled into the fact that you're going out to the PacWest because I think I'll be heading out there too, so I'll get a chance to shake your hand.
Yep, great. I look forward to seeing you. Like I say, I've talked with Jamie, and I said, is there a way that, because I saw that Jim and Kathy Law are coming from Ababa, and he's retired. And I've known Jim forever. In fact, years and years ago, I called on Ababa when I was with Dave Gradden. There's still some people that are around that I used to call on. But there'll be some retired people there. I don't know if Russ Dorn's going to come out from Colorado. I should probably reach out to him and see if he's coming out. But there's
Steve, you're getting the band back together.
Get the band back together. The old.
How about reach out to Bob and Barry?
That would be. They sometimes just make a cameo appearance.
Not for a while.
Have not made an appearance for a while, but every now and then, I think they both live still in Newport Beach, so it's really not that far. And I think that one of them had, Bob or Barry had shown up at one of the PacWest meetings. But speaking of PacWest, see, I go back to the WAFTA days, the Western Association of Fastener Distributors. Before they changed their name, I was past president. I'm trying to remember the year I was president. It was probably early 2000s, 2001, 2002. Just right after Ron Stanley. And I can't tell you how many close friends I've made from that Fastener Association group. Just some great people that I've met through the years. And so I encourage anybody that's listening, get involved with your local Fastener Association. You will make some dear friends.
Yep, good advice. That's the way to do it. You did a lot of things right, Steve.
Well, thanks. I tried to do what I thought was right, and most of the time that worked out. Doesn't always work out, but you still can hold your head up high and say, well, it was the right thing to do. Maybe it wasn't the profitable thing to do, but it was the right thing to do.
Oh, now you're encroaching on my territory. All right, Steve. Well, it's great to talk to you. Again, apologize for all these wasted years for Cheryl. Happy birthday to her also. And I'm glad we'll be seeing you in March.
Good deal. Good to talk to you, my friend. And I'll continue to listen, too, to Fully Threaded Radio, just so I can keep up on what Tim Roberto's doing and Kevin Chavez and a lot of those people. So.
All right. Well, you're certainly still well connected, and it sounds like you're going to stay that way for a while. So.
Oh, I plan on it. Yep.
Steve Dunham, formerly of Sasco Fasteners.
Good to talk to you, my friend.
You the same. We'll talk to you in a bit, and we'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio. It's Fastener Dog-Approved Talk Radio for the fastener industry.
Stainless Dan here, coming to you from Star Stainless. Star quality is more than products, just the way Wayne wanted it to be. It's simple. We're Star.
Goebel Fasteners has consistently increased its stock inventory in Houston, Texas, as well as focused on developing new, innovative battery-powered cordless tools to improve industry efficiency. Our company's strategy is to provide a level of quality and innovation that stands out among the rest. If you are interested in being part of a brand that is revolutionizing the industry, make sure to contact Goebel Fasteners today to see what we have to offer. Goebel Fasteners, the leading rivet source.
This is Craig Penland from Eurolink. As we celebrate our 25th anniversary, I want to reflect on how we got here, and more importantly, why we're still here. It's not just about fasteners or supply chains. It's about our mission. For 25 years, we've worked as your partner in solving problems. We've done it with integrity, grit, and by supporting one another. Fulfilling your supply chain needs quickly and efficiently is our top priority. We exist to serve, solve, and support, and we couldn't do it without you. Here's to 25 years of service and many more to come. Eurolink, hard to find metric fasteners delivered.
Hello, friends. This is Preston with the IFI, and you're listening to Brian and Eric on Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. It's the news segment, Bri.
Good.
Yes. I'm kind of getting used to it happening so quickly in the show, but it is a fan favorite, and McNulty's got quite the rendition this time.
So he's so totally focused on fasteners this time.
And no football distractions this year.
It's just as well.
Yeah. He leads off commenting that his team was not in it, so... Speaking of which, I bet Jake Davis is not feeling too good today.
I'd say that too.
Sorry, Jake.
Yeah, right.
All right, we're not going to get mired down in that whole thing.
Nope. I did watch it though last night.
I know you did. All right, we do have a little bit of news before we get to this. Again, the news segment is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, and the title sponsors of Fully Threaded are Star Stainless, Goebel Fasteners, and Brighton Best International. Now, it was pointed out to me, Bri, this actually ties into two things. One, it was pointed out to me last episode, apparently, or the one before, I botched the dates on the Brighton 100-year anniversary.
Oh, well, that's sort of rather important.
Yes. You didn't catch it either, though.
No, I did not.
Well, anyway, it's 1925 to 2025. 100 years, Brighton Best International. Hats off to all of you.
Wow, it's a great achievement. Huge achievement, actually.
It is. And they'll be celebrating that all year, I'm very sure. And already we've seen they've issued a fantastic commemorative logo with the 100 years on it. And that is the second tie-in because McNulty's going to have his back page report dealing with milestone anniversaries and that. So way to roll these together. And on the same note, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, 25 years, and they're celebrating that. I should have mentioned also last year that Craig over there at Eurolink is sponsoring the NASCAR simulator at Fastener Fair this year.
Really?
Yeah. Remember when we had Blanca on last episode and she was talking about that simulator? Well, it turns out Eurolink is sponsoring.
Wow, cool.
Pretty cool.
Huh.
And if you register for Fastener Fair today, you can get a free exhibit pass using the exclusive code FFUSAFCH.
Really? How did they get such a very worthwhile code? Who dreamed that up?
Well, they have technical people over there that work with that.
I wish we had technical people.
One day, Bri, we'll have people.
Okay. All right. I look forward to that.
Yeah, but FastenerFairUSA.com and punch in FFUSA-FCH as your code. You'll get that free exhibit pass.
It's just such amazingly good value.
Free is always good.
Yeah.
I presume the NASCAR simulator's free too, courtesy of Eurolink. We're going to be talking to Craig pretty soon too. We'll zero in on that. But right now, it's time to zero in on the Fastener news. Bri, take it.
Right. And now, for news about screws that you can use, here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Brian and Eric. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Würth Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. The vain and childish electric vehicle mandate in the USA is dead. Tariffs are the talk of every town, and my favorite National Football League team finished tied with two other losers for the fewest victories this season, but I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, Würth Industry USA Chief Operating Officer Jeff Schmitt joins us to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on the Würth Group and newsmaker headlines from U.S. Anchors, Threadline Products, Endries International, Brighton Best International, Letterer, Women in the Fastener Industry, the Metropolitan Fastener Distributors Association, and more. On the back page report, we're going to talk about anniversaries and logos. We'll get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
There's a reason Würth Industrial Plastics is an industry leader in plastic clip, clamp, and custom fastener manufacturing. With over 100 million parts in stock that can be shipped the same day, we have the capability of molding over 120 different materials and can color match for specific applications. You need it? We can build it. At Würth, we have state-of-the-art technology to build prototypes to customer specs. And now available, Würth's new light-duty cable clamps. With maximum diameters ranging from 3/16 to a ½ inch, these clamps are ideal for hard-to-reach spaces, electronics, and finish work. Würth Industrial Plastics, the finest, fastest plastic fasteners in the world. Visit us at WürthPlastics.com.
Looking to stay ahead of the curve in fastener technology? Then you can't miss Fastener Fair USA. The industry's must-attend event is coming to Music City Center in Nashville, Tennessee on May 28th and 29th. Discover cutting-edge innovations, meet top manufacturers and suppliers, and network with industry leaders at our opening night party at Honky Tonk Central, right on world-famous Broadway. Plus, your Fastener Fair USA badge gets you free access to the co-located Aluminum USA show, offering more business opportunities than ever. Register now at FastenerFairUSA.com. We'll see you in May.
You're listening to Mike McNulty's Fastener News Report on Fully Threaded Radio.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for January 2025 dropped slightly to 47.6 versus 48.1, the third straight sub-50 result. The forward-looking indicator, also known as the FLI, also dropped below 50 to 49.9 versus 51.4 last month, breaking a streak of 4 straight months above 50. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, we're going to talk with Würth Industry USA Chief Operating Officer Jeff Schmitt. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Thank you, Mike. Glad to be here today.
Yeah, this is your first time in the FDI seat, so what do you think about the latest FDI results?
To be honest, I'm actually a little surprised that we saw the decline that we were seeing going into January this year. I was expecting there to be a little bit more of an uptick, in January, but I think that based upon the new administration coming into office and new executive orders that are being placed in, I guess it may not be that much of a surprise to see a little bit of a softening in January. So we've seen that in some of our customer forecasts and what we're seeing out in specific industries that our customers lie in. And, we're going to continue to monitor those trends as we move forward into 2025, hoping that we see an uptick, with the economic indicators, but then also with, our customer base at large, hoping that we see U.S. manufacturing start to pick back up again.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of trepidation. Now, Baird cited they cautioned about January that there was the holiday timing with New Year's Day coming in the middle of the week and then some bad weather started the month off a little bit soft. That was one of their observations.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. We actually had a number of locations that we had to close for a couple different days, even including our Texas location with some of the inclement weather that hit there. So that definitely impacted us. It impacted our customer base. And so we definitely felt that in the first half of January. And then we saw that second half of the month pick back up. We're seeing that into the first part of February. So, we're really happy to see things continuing in that trend.
So, as I said, you mentioned the executive orders. I'll just mention a comment that I read this past week that, it used to be with the new administration, they say you got to get everything going in the first year. Then it became the first 100 days, and now it's maybe the first few hours with the executive orders. So,
yeah, no, so true, especially here as of late. I think it was one of the most rapid number of signings of executive orders in, a new president's entry into the administration. So exciting to see, but then also can be a little bit a little weary in regards to how you have to go about looking at that, with our customer base.
Take a step back and say, whoa, what does this mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Well, let's dive into, let's look at some of the numbers in general. The sales, employment, customer inventories, and year-to-year pricing went up a little bit, and everything else was down or about the same. How about what you guys were seeing?
So again, for January, I mean, we definitely saw, where the sales were coming down. One of the surprises that I saw was actually the employment indicators. I mean, I think, today they actually announced the employment rate and the jobs that were added in December. And, we saw that number came under expectations. So to see that, having a little bit of an uptick, obviously comes at somewhat of a surprise. But then going back to your comments around, what's going on with the new administration, seeing the number of jobs specifically in the government, where that's being offset and the new initiatives that are coming into play, that's definitely going to have its impact on what we see with the employment sector. So inflation, pricing, and obviously labor pricing as a whole is still influencing that. And we're continuing to monitor that situation very closely. And that's where for us, in particular at Würth, are looking at, new ways of automation and what we can do in introducing and offsetting those areas. But in supplier deliveries, we're continuing to see that, Lunar New Year a little bit earlier this year. So we had some, larger deliveries in January than what we were anticipating. But, again, offsetting for that in preparation for the Lunar New Year. And then just seeing, how the ebb and flow of the market is really going right now, which, as we know in January had its ups and downs like a roller coaster.
Definitely. The number that got my most attention this time around is the PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index. It jumped above 50 to 50.9 versus 49.3. And I went back and looked, it's the first time it's been above 50 since October of 2022. So that going a little bit different direction than the FDI, the Fastener Distributor Index.
Yeah, I was honestly quite shocked to see the manufacturing PMI jump in that area. And I mean, if you saw some of the indexes that, were rising in price versus falling in price, steel being one of those, hot rolled steel being one of the main drivers in pricing that was falling down. I believe that's helping attribute to, what was going on in the manufacturing PMI. And to be honest, I think that there was probably a little bit of hedging going on with, people trying to get raw materials, potentially looking at an economic uptick at some point in this year and trying to get ahead of the market because my crystal ball is telling me that that steel prices are going to be impacted later on in the year and we're going to see prices go up, both domestic and internationally. And so I think that definitely attributed to some of the uptick that we saw.
Well, that makes sense. The next number we'll look at is the 6-month outlook for January. It kind of receded from the December result. This month, it was 50% of the respondents expect things to be better in a half a year, and 33% the same, and 17% expecting them to be worse. And that was a little bit of a tempering or reduction since last month's numbers of 61, 24, and 15. With that low number being about the same, but the high number dropping down.
Yeah, I think that's a direct result of some of the new administration coming in. I think that the tariffs, specifically, those that are, being in place with China are definitely having an effect towards that. And then just the unknown manufacturing sector. I mean, again, a lot has shifted towards the AI realm in regards to what's needing to be done with data centers and, semiconductor manufacturing. And then you look at, the cash and what companies are doing in order to, preserve cash and preserve profits for their organizations, where I don't think that capital expenditure is coming as much into play, which in turn is going to impact the output of the consumer base. And so I think those areas have really kind of affected that just with this new administration coming in, these new orders coming into place. But I do anticipate that 6-month outlook is gonna pick back up as the year unfolds.
Good. Well, I'll look forward to that. And I think that that makes sense. So anything else on any of the numbers that you want to add before we move on to the commentary section?
The only thing that I would say, and going back to the pricing piece towards this, is what the shift and the impacts of these tariffs are really going to have. I think that's going to impact the domestic manufacturing base, dependent upon what happens with the tariffs that are just put on a 30-day delay with Mexico and Canada. Those actually have the potential to have a bigger ramification towards domestic manufacturing, and then as well as, let's call it, redistribution of where manufacturing is being done. So you shift from China to Taiwan. Taiwan's going to take that as an opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to increase price. China is more than likely going to take a position where they look at the value-added tax and make adjustments on that area to try and offset. And so all of these variables and economic factors are going to have implications towards pricing, through the balance of this year. And something that we really have to keep a close eye on is the capacity and the capabilities of our manufacturers and what they're going to be able to keep up with, especially if, the economy recovers and manufacturing recovers in the way that we all hope it does.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the tariffs are definitely on the minds of the people who commented on this FDI survey this time around. So let's jump into those. And most of the comments, a little bit of commentary on soft January, and the rest was on tariffs. So we've got 5 comments. The first one was January sales were slightly below expectation, especially early in the month, but rebounded as the month closed, signaling hope for the rest of the quarter, end quote. Then the rest, everything's about tariffs. Number 1, worried about tariffs from Canada and Mexico. If they happen, it will be a challenging year. And the second one, continued trepidation with how Trump's trade policies will affect international business on both the sell and buy side and its effect on the supply chain and logistics. And the next one, we are concerned with the effect of the new tariff situation will have on our supply chain. And then the last one is the longest one. He says, join the wild tariff ride. No telling what may happen. Expect delays at the ports for 1 to 3 weeks as the deadline approaches to clear customs before the increase hits. Domestic manufacturing should heat up and material prices are expected to increase as domestic manufacturers take advantage of the ability to improve pricing while tariffs are increased, end quote. Anything to add to that?
I think all of those comments are spot on.
Yeah, right.
All things that, we are keeping a close eye on, and, having close connection with our supply base, with our customer base, and, just trying to see how things will develop. You hate to say it, but you never know how things are going to work. We also know that some of the positioning that was held with Mexico and Canada in this was really a negotiation tactic to, really help in protecting the borders and as well as stop the traffic flow of drugs into the country. And so, we see that they've responded to that. And it's a question how that's going to continue over the next 30 days and, whether or not we're going to continue to see that actually die down in the way that, we would all like to see. And that's the bigger thing. I think that's going to have an effect or an impact on what we're going to see.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, I would agree with that. And hopefully it's not a long-term trade war in the North American.
Well, I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we all know that, these tariffs, they're going to hit the consumer, which is going to impact the manufacturing base, here in the U.S. And so we just got to make sure that we keep a keen eye on that because, as we've seen, we haven't seen the deflationary measures that, the country was hoping for. We are obviously expecting numerous Fed cut rates in the first half of the year. That's not materializing. It seems like those are going to be holding fast, which is obviously going to impact, what's going on in the housing sector as well as the economy at large. So again, we got to keep a close eye on all these different activities that are going on because of the ripple effect that it has.
It's a two-headed coin because people who abuse trade laws and policies should be punished, as well as people who don't follow laws, like border laws and things like that should be punished. So hopefully some good things come out of it.
Nope, I think that they will. And again, I'm optimistic, for the year. If you were to ask me about, 90, 120 days ago, I would have been hoping that by the end of Q1 that we'll see a larger uptick. That's been, I would say, kicked down about 90 days. So I'm expecting now end of Q2, maybe into early Q3, for things to really start to recover and, for the economy as well as manufacturing in the United States to really pick back up.
Yep, could be a good year, or should be a good year.
We hope so.
Well, the next part of the show, we're going to give you a chance to tell the listeners what's going on at Würth Industry. But before we do that, anything else you want to close out with the FDI or the FLI?
No, I just want to thank you, Mike, for, presenting the numbers, giving me the opportunity to speak to it. Again, I'm optimistic for, 2025 and what we're going to see. Again, everything is a little bit of an uncertainty, but again, really, really looking forward to seeing how things develop throughout the balance of the year.
Good. Well, I like that optimism. So let's roll into the part. There's a lot of things going on at Würth Industry, I understand. What do you have to report?
Yeah, so there's obviously been a lot going on with Würth Industry over the last 10 years, but now we're continuing to move on the journey that we want to really establish ourselves as a single powerhouse in the United States. And so we've taken some next steps in that area where we are now rebranding as well as becoming a new entity as Würth Industry USA, which consists of a number of legacy companies that were known in the market over the last few years as Würth Industrial US, Würth Revcar Fasteners, Marine Fasteners, and Würth Construction Services. So those four operating companies are coming together, merging together, and are going to be known as Würth Industry USA. And so we have taken our executive team and we have merged those teams together where we have Daniel Schmitt, who is our Senior Vice President of the Würth Group and CEO of Würth Industry USA. Newly appointed as Chapman Revercombe as the President of Würth Industry USA. Myself as the COO. Alex Mikros as the Chief Sales Officer, Tim Harris as the Chief Financial Officer, and then James Valdez as our Chief Human Resource Officer. So excited to have this new executive team coming together under Würth Industry USA. And, we're very excited about the opportunities that we have of taking all of this together to position ourselves in the market, expand our product offering, expand our systems and solutions and offerings to our customer base, and really continue to grow within the U.S. marketplace.
Well, it sounds like you got a lot going on. You put together a good team. I do like the name, Würth Industry USA. I think it sounds pretty good. I know people are looking forward to all the things you guys have going on.
No, thank you. And I mean, that's where, while we've had a lot of this activity going on in regards to what we've been reorganizing as, we've also taken this over the last 6 months to really focus on what our innovations are going to be and what we can introduce to the market. And that's where I know that there's been some social media posts and other things like that about our recent partnership with .ai, which is a real big position that we would like to look at ourselves in the market, and are introducing a new asset intelligence solutions department that is going to be led by Chad Baker. And he is going to look at what we can do with real-time asset tracking through Kanban solutions, as well as through any type of inventory management solution as a whole. And these real-time tracking, whether it's a Kanban bin or whether it's any type of assembly manufactured good, as it's moving throughout the country from either you can look at it as the start of a replenishment within our plants or our warehouses to being on the trucks that are being delivered to our customer base and looking at the movement of material within our customers' facilities. So this is going to enable us to get more real-time data and be able to take that data to actually create a more robust and accurate supply chain. And so if you combine these efforts with some of the automation, artificial intelligence of all the data, I mean, it's about big data where everybody's talked about Industry 4.0. I want big data transparency between my organization and my supplier. Well, we want to take that and step that up to Industry 5.0, which is where we're taking this big data, this transparency of information between us and our customer base and our supply base, and be able to say, okay, now we're going to introduce the automation elements as well, the artificial intelligence models, the machine learning, so we can have more real-time, more accurate information that can be spread to our customer base to make more informed decisions, to make adjustments within their production lines, to make adjustments within their supply chain. That's going to give us a cutting edge or an advantage in the market in what we can actually provide to our customer base. So very excited about this partnership with .ai and what we're going to be able to go with that moving forward.
Well, it sounds like you guys are definitely on the leading edge of the technology, and it's changing quite a bit.
Yeah, technology, technology, as we know, is rapidly changing. I mean, when we first started talking about artificial intelligence about 2 years ago and what that can be done, I mean, we started looking at things in relation to, process mining and robotic process automation and how we can integrate those into various areas of our supply chain and with our day-to-day process. Again, real-time data, real-time information is the critical component to that. And being able to take all that data, and you're talking massive amounts of data that has to be consumed, digested, and put into a single data language in order for us to be able to have an output that can lead towards quick decision making and making pivotal adjustments to be able to make sure that we always have inventory for our customers at the place they need it when they need it. And that's the most critical thing, especially in today's environment, given all of the economic factors that we talked about earlier, is we have to make adjustments. We have to be able to ebb and flow through that. So this really positions ourselves to be able to support our customer base and really be able to drive that to a new level that has not been seen within our industry.
Yeah, as I recall someone once saying that, in the distribution, if you don't have anything to sell, you can't make a sale. That's what it comes down to, right?
Well, like quick little tidbit on this. So, doing some research on this, what I learned is that a lost part typically takes about 4.8 hours to actually identify and recover and be able to react. And so if you can think about that from a fastener or to an assembly, 4.8 hours to be able to find, that missing component that can impact the production line and impact something getting out your door. And so the soft cost savings as well as the hard cost savings that come into play with that are going to be unprecedented with the data that we're going to be able to capture and put together to be able to provide that transparency to the customer base and to our industry.
Very good. So going from, we're talking about all this high level stuff, I want to bring up a story that is just recently announced that's kind of more on the basic level, that you guys are, again, a sustaining partner for the Fastener Training Institute. And that story came out. You've been doing that since 2019, I think. And there's a story about it in the upcoming issue of Fastener Technology International on pages 18 and 19. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, employee development and, making sure that, we continue to demonstrate the importance of training people that is within an industry, unfortunately, that is aging, and trying to get people energized and enthusiastic about, fasteners. I hate to say it, as well as, really what we have to look at in the overall knowledge base that, comes with it. I mean, when you hear about, Hederman and, what's being done in the manufacturing sector and how that's also aging, and the training programs that have to be put in place, where the tradescraft is now becoming is becoming a larger focus again within various industries, and compared to, scholastic, efforts that are being done in order to educate, the workforce today. So that is going to continue to be something that Würth will always, be a supporter of, will continue to invest in, and make sure that, we are at the forefront of making sure that we can continue to expand that knowledge, train up a large workforce that is going to be able to take us, into the future of how we need to make sure that we can continue to support our customer base and the industry as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's great, because we talk about this high level stuff, but then you also got to start with the fundamentals too. And so you guys are on both ends of that as well as everything in between.
Agreed. And it's something that we love to be a part of, love to be a partner in. And so again, just appreciate and thank you for the opportunity for that.
Yeah, I'm going to share a quote here. This is from Jo Morris. She's the new managing director for the Fastener Training Institute. And she says, since 2019, Würth has been by our side, prioritizing the importance of fastener education for all levels of our industry. We're humbled by Würth's ongoing commitment and truly value our partnership. That's a good story, and your AI stuff is good as well, and everything in between.
That's great.
So I was looking at your LinkedIn background. It looks like you started at Würth Revcar as a territory sales manager in Virginia, and now you're moved on to Minnesota. So what can you tell the listeners about Virginia versus Minnesota?
Virginia's a lot warmer, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, we were talking ahead of time. You said it's 5 degrees out there, and you got snow coming.
Yeah, yep. It's definitely a different dynamic up here. So, but no, I lived in Virginia and was a part of Würth for 9 years out there. Had the opportunity to come up here to Minnesota right at the onset of the pandemic, and look at some new endeavors. The difference is that in reality, your customers are the same, but it's a question of what do they want to hear and how do they want that story conveyed to them, and what's the value proposition and solution that you can provide. The bigger thing that I've learned is you can't talk to the people the same way in Virginia as you do in Minnesota, or, if you want to say the East Coast to the Midwest, but, it's something that you learn. And it was one of the biggest learning curves that I actually had when I moved up here. And it's something that I continue to look at. I mean, I am a military brat. I had the fortunate opportunity to live all over the world growing up and experiencing many different cultures. And it's just amazing the various cultures that reside within the United States alone versus when you're talking country to country. And so definitely, see the differences between Virginia and Minnesota, but Würth has given me one heck of a career path, and one that I'm very appreciative to Würth and loyal and embedded to Würth for, and I'm looking very forward to the future and what that's going to entail for us as Würth Industry USA positions themselves in the market.
Isn't there some phrase like Minnesota friendly or something like that?
Minnesota nice.
Minnesota nice.
Minnesota nice. That's right. That's right. It's where Minnesotans may not always speak the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So military background. Also, I was looking at your picture. It looks like you're in pretty good shape. Eric, and some of these guys are doing some kind of fastener mud runs and things like that. Are you involved in that group or thinking about it?
I am thinking about it. So Eric actually talked to me about that a couple weeks ago. They've been doing Tough Mudders and been doing some of these courses. I can tell you I have not taken part in a Tough Mudder or any of these obstacle type challenges. I do like to stay in shape and work out pretty routinely. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be up for this challenge or not. I don't know. Eric's going to have to do some pretty good convincing for me to be a part of that team.
Well, on your bio, it says you played football, baseball, and track and field. So I think you could probably run to the front of the pack.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I think it's in August. And I mean, it's funny. One of the reasons that Minnesota has also been nice to me is I'm naturally a hot-bodied person. So, man, August doing a Tough Mudder, that'll be tough. No pun intended.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that. I know they'll be posting a lot of information about that on LinkedIn, as well as talking about it on Fully Threaded Radio. So,
yep.
Good. Well, anything else you want to close out with Würth or with the FDI before we wrap it up?
No, again, I just want to thank you for the time and the opportunity to speak today. And just, want to say that, Würth Industry USA is going to continue to invest in the market and going to invest to better supply our customer base. Going to continue to look for new innovations, new opportunities to strengthen our value proposition and what we do as an organization moving forward. Very excited about our future. Very excited about what 2025 will entail and the years to come. So again, thank you, Mike, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of the show.
Hey, you're welcome, and it's good to have you on. I look forward to the next time you come back on.
That sounds great. Be glad to come back.
That was Würth Industry USA Chief Operating Officer Jeff Schmitt. The FDI number for January 2025 was 47.6 versus 48.1 in December. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. The Würth Group closed the year 2024 reporting sales of 20.2 billion euros, which corresponds to a year-over-year decrease of 0.9% and a drop of 0.4% when adjusted for currency effects. As a result of the lower sales volume and higher costs, the group's preliminary operating result stands at 90 million euros, which is below the previous year. Nevertheless, Würth expects the group's 2024 consolidated financial statements to show an increase in equity to 9.2 billion euros, compared with 8.8 billion euros at the end of 2023. Robert Friedman, chairman of the board, said, quote, "Given the economic and political conditions, I am pleased to report that the Würth Group was able to maintain its sales level of 20 billion euros. This development was primarily driven by trade-related areas, which showed a stable sales trend. In 2024, we stuck to our counter-cyclical strategy and invested when others scaled back. Our focus is on keeping goods available and maintaining our delivery readiness for our more than 4 million customers worldwide," end quote. An example of this focus is the recent inauguration of Würth's highly automated logistics expansion in Germany. The company's new facility features an automatic shuttle system with more than 104,000 container storage spaces that enables the picking of 48,000 additional order lines each day. The new building is seamlessly connected to the existing logistics center via an advanced conveyor system. For the strategic development of logistics, the Würth Group has a goal of achieving an automation level of 75% in its companies with the highest sales volumes by the year 2030. The use of artificial intelligence and robotics will help the group achieve this goal by increasing automation and digitalization levels across operation. You can see images of the new facility on pages 134 and 136 of the February-March 2025 issue of Fastener Technology International magazine. Next up, today's newsmaker headlines. In corporate news, Kinderhook Industries acquired U.S. anchors. Schweihag, a supplier of railroad rail fasteners, selected Winfield, Kansas for its new USA headquarters and manufacturing facility. Redline Products expanded its production capabilities and geographic reach with the asset acquisition of the former Atlantic Fastener Würth facility in Greensboro, North Carolina. Endries International refreshed its corporate brand, and Brighton Best International, also known as BBI, completed the relocation of its Edmond facility in Alberta, Canada. In personnel news, Sebastian Overhausen is the new sales director at Lederer. The Women in the Fastener Industry Association, also known as Wi-Fi, announced the winners of its 2024 awards. Holly McDaniel, sales manager at WCL Company, was named Wi-Fi Woman of the Year. Jennifer Strum, chief operations officer at Empire Bolt & Screw, won the Wi-Fi Women in Business Award, and Dan Duffield, sales manager at Wyandotte Industries, took home the Wi-Fi Man Up Award. Reiser Schraubentechnik appointed Thomas Enzenberger to the position of managing director. And the Metropolitan Fastener Distributors Association, also known as the MFDA, elected its 2025 officers and board as follows. President is Rob Rundle of R.W. Rundle Associates. Vice President is Nick Penny of Vogelsang Fastener Solutions. The Treasurer is Michael Asaro of AFC Industries Fastbolt. And the directors are Kelly Nermeyer of Cambridge Corporation, Jason Vanderhee of Star Stainless Screw Corporation, Peter Caminos of RAW Products Corporation, Sal Presti of Intercorp, Danielle Pierre of Fastener Solution, and Michael White of Brighton Best International. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International magazine and the Fastener News Report monthly newsletter, both available online at fastenertech.com. And finally, before we get to the back page report, it is often said in jest that nobody leaves the fastener industry. And this story underscores the reason for that old joke. Industry veteran Todd McRoberts announced on LinkedIn last month that he has come out of his brief retirement. After retiring from Cleveland-based Autobolt in August, McRoberts has returned to action as VP of Business Development for Taylor, Michigan-based B&D Cold-Headed Products. Here is Todd with the details.
Well, I made it 6 months, and when you've been in this business for 36 plus years, retiring is a little difficult, but it's on the list of things to do like everybody else. After 3 months of playing golf and fishing, I realized, your identity is within this industry and all your friends and colleagues are here and you really miss it. So when they say you don't get out of the business, you do, but I'm back in. So I'm pretty excited about that. Plus my wife said I needed to find something to do. So here I am. Well, I'm looking forward to reconnecting with all of my friends I've known through the years. I'm looking forward to getting back into the Fastener Fair and the Vegas show. I don't know how many years I've done the Vegas show, and after a while you think it's too much, but it is a fantastic place to be. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the realm there. Currently at B&D Cold-Headed Products out of Taylor, Michigan. Pretty exciting opportunity, great outfit. Carriage bolts, flange bolts, wheel bolts, double-headed studs, you name it. Small runs, large runs, we can entertain all inquiries. So a good group of people, really looking forward to it. So I'll be a VP of Business Development. So I'm going to help train some people, kind of teach them what I've known over the years and who I've known and how to do some things. So I think I'm going to bring some good value to the team and help us grow business.
That was Todd McRoberts. Welcome back to the fastener industry, Todd, and see you at the Fastener Fair. Now let's turn to the back page to talk about anniversaries and logos. It's always a good thing to take the time and spend the resources to celebrate anniversaries of important things like the birth of a child, the beginning of a marriage, or the launch of a company or organization. In particular, these celebrations seem to gain importance and high levels of attention when the anniversary year contains a 5 or a 0 at the end. Personally, I am fond of the excitement that these milestones generate in the fastener industry. In addition to the good events and activities planned for these accomplishments, I enjoy seeing the special logos that are created to mark the importance of these events. For example, there are more than a half dozen good anniversary logos on the pages of the February-March issue of Fastener Technology International magazine, and here's a summary of them starting with the highest number of years completed. A forward-looking 110-year anniversary logo from Surface Combustion can be seen on page 67. Bright & Best International's 100-year anniversary logo in gold and black is on page 128 and on the back cover. A Torx Head-inspired 65th anniversary logo from Crescent Manufacturing can be seen on page 99. The bold and proud 55th anniversary logo from Ken Forging is shown on page 55. The Southeastern Fastener Association, also known as SEFA, has its fastener-friendly 50th anniversary logo on page 24. The Hexagon Head 30th anniversary logo of Southwind International is on pages 49 and 56. And finally, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service is sporting its robust Roman numeral-inspired 25th anniversary logo on page 138. Congratulations to all for a job well done, for taking the time to celebrate, and for making great and attractive logos that are sure to be seen and probably worn with pride. If you have an important milestone coming up, be sure to commission the creation of a special logo and send it to us for publication in an upcoming issue of Fastener Technology International. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
With a proud 100-year legacy and a strategic presence in 32 warehouses and offices worldwide, Bright & Best International is dedicated to equipping our distributors with all the resources necessary to keep your business and projects on track. Visit us at brightandbest.com for your high-performing preferred U.S. Anchor and Ironclad performance wear needs, tailored to fit your project requirements.
This is Tough Nutter Jake Valdez Davis here, and when I'm not training for the upcoming Tough Mudder race this August, I'm grabbing some Yubo Blend coffee and heading out to the next Fastener Association meeting. BTM Manufacturing is going to have a busy 2025, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. Train hard, or not. See you in August.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute in beautiful Spanway, Washington today. Today's topic is one that comes up occasionally, if not regularly, but every time it comes up, it seems like we have an industry that is not well informed about it, and that topic has to do with lubrication on nuts used in structural applications. When I come back, I'll tell you the importance of the lubrication on nuts used in structural applications.
At Würth Industry North America, we know that in today's world, you need a supply chain partner that you can depend on. We provide the products you need to keep your business moving. Data-driven inventory management solutions, industry-leading technology, and the global stability of the Würth Group, combined with an unrelenting commitment to local partnership. Discover superior supply chain security at www.würthindustry.com.
If you're a fastener distributor, please listen up. Hey, this is Steve Roebuck, mining specialist with J. Lanfranco Lock Nuts. Discover the incredible durability of J. Lanfranco Lock Nuts for yourself. The perfect choice for the mining industry where only the toughest components can withstand the rigors of heavy machinery and harsh conditions. Designed with precision, these lock nuts ensure maximum safety and reliability, preventing loosening and costly downtimes. Your clients deserve the best fasteners, so give us a call at 1-855-694-3250 or send an email to mining@jlanfranco.com to learn more.
Solution Man, Ken.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, SOLUTION. Solution Industry. We are Solution.
Well, welcome back, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. We're talking about the nuts used in structural bolting applications, and particularly those that require lubrication. And these would be nuts that are used primarily in ASTM A325 structural bolts, which are hot dip galvanized, and also ASTM A325 and A490 tension control bolts. Now, in order for these bolts to work properly, the nut must be properly lubricated. In the case of the ASTM A325 hot dip galvanized fasteners, the nut has a coating of wax on it as required by the standard when you're selling an assembly, which consists of the bolt, the washer, and the nut. The lubrication on the nut is critical for the performance of the assembly when we test it in the Skidmore Wilhelm bolt tension calibrator, and also, of course, when we install it in the steel. Now, the problem that we have is this wax does not last forever. So you might have some product that is a few years, many years old. Even though the wax generally has a color, it's usually blue, it may or may not be effective as it was the day it was installed. This will cause our fasteners to not reach full tension because the K factor, that is the lubrication effectiveness of the nut, will have been diminished. The same is true with the tension control bolts. Now, generally, these lubrications are required to be dry to the touch. Not generally, they should be. But just like with the wax on the hot dip galvanized nuts, the lubrication, whatever it is, and everyone has their secret sauce, may not be effective over the long run. And it's also very important that these fasteners be stored properly in clean, dry containers in what's called protected storage as required by the Research Council on Structural Connections. So whenever I'm on the job site or end up doing some kind of troubleshooting where the tension control bolt or the A325 hot dip galvanized assemblies are not performing, it almost always comes back to something having to do with the lubrication. Now, in the case of the A325 hot dip galvanized bolts, this can sometimes be corrected just by adding supplemental lube. You're allowed to do that as long as you do it in the steel. However, with the tension control bolts, you cannot do it. Only the manufacturer can relubricate those nuts, or possibly with their supervision, you can do it as a supplier or the end user. So always inspect your structural bolt assemblies, that they're fresh, that the lubrication is present, that it's effective. And if you have issues with the performance of your structural bolting assemblies, the first thing you should suspect is the lubrication has been degraded, either by age or by contamination, because we did not have good job site or possibly even good protection during transportation, shipping, storage from the distributor. Well, this has been Carmen Vertullo with your Fastener Training Minute. I hope you learned something. Thanks for listening.
this is Deb with 3Q Inc., your source for a wide variety of U.S.-made parts from the heart of the fastener industry. You're listening to Brian and Eric on Fully Threaded Radio.
Right, Jeff Schmitt is in very good shape.
Okay, I haven't noticed that, but I'm sure he must be.
No, he's in great shape, and him thinking that he wouldn't be able to make it through a mud course, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. He's a busy guy, but come on, he could do it probably in his sleep.
He's got lots of other things in his life to do too, though.
Less, I'm starting a draft Schmitt for the mudder.
I can tell.
It starts right here. Fastener Week is August 23rd to the 29th this year, and the 23rd, August 23rd, out there in Rockford, Illinois, is the Tough Mudder. Of course, there's a nice team forming for that. This will be our 5th year now? We did 3 mud races, then the walk last year because of the cancellation. I think this is 5th.
Okay.
So what I find really interesting, Bri, is that this year I went to the MWFA website to see details on this, and I noticed that they actually expanded the date timeline to include the mudder. So now it's the 23rd to the 29th, when really the main festivities are the 25th to the 29th, right?
Why would you not include the Tough Mudder as one of the main festivities?
Well, it was sort of off record originally, is what it was. And that's why I'm saying it's kind of cool now that it's rolled into the official thing. So well done, MWFA. Of course, the day after will be the bed build. That's on the Sunday.
Right.
Info is not up on their site yet. That's mwfa.net, but I'm sure it'll be up there very soon. Francesca's really hustling over there these days. Have you noticed?
Yeah, that's good too. And the bed build things are very good because it's such a noble sort of cause, and it's just Sunday morning. You can use a Sunday morning up doing some pretty good public service.
Mudder, bed build, Fastener Week. The week with no vowels continues.
All right.
And let's get Jeff Schmitt in there. Well, whether or not he actually joins the team, he might not have time, but we'll have fun with it anyway. I'd like to thank him for hopping on the podcast with us today, as well as Mike McNulty, Steve Dunham with Sasco. Hat tip to you again, buddy, and Cheryl.
Enjoy your retirement.
That's right. We'll see you out there in March in Anaheim. And, of course, Carmen Vertullo had the Fastener Training Minute. And let's just say it right now. Welcome back, Todd McRoberts. Glad he was able to make a little cameo today, too. Hope to see you at Fastener Fair, my friend. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Star Stainless, Global Fasteners, and Brighton Best International. Fully Threaded is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, J. Lanfranco, Solution Industries, Fastener Fair USA, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Würth Industry USA. And you know the email, folks. It's ftr@fullythreaded.com. Fire away. Go easy on Bri, though. Come on.
Yeah, please.
He's doing the work of like 3 people. He doesn't have people. It's all him.
Right. I want people.
You got a good story for the next episode. 211 is going to be the All Brian episode, I'm thinking.
No. But it's an interesting story.
Yeah. Plus, you got another one coming up, too, that, well, let's just keep that one in the can. But you have an interesting week ahead.
Oh, I have very interesting week. Well, it could be a complete nothing week, depending. But
no, it'll be pretty good. Anyway, so let's talk about something that is not a nothing, and that's the MFDA economic meeting that took place in New York in January, and ITR Economics was there.
Right. We've seen a couple of times, actually, mainly with, I think, NFDA and PacWest.
They turn up here and there, and a lot of people pay attention to what they have to say. And I have the press release here. I did not actually see the presentation. However, I have the summary, and we'll just cut to the chase here because we are closing this out. And it's another of the tighter, fully threaded radio episodes that our fans apparently really like a lot better. Especially Tom Buddenbone, but others too.
I would think Bob Bear, too. He wouldn't have to listen to it on triple speed.
Nah, he complains, but he likes it. He spends hours and hours every week on the treadmill. What else is he going to do? He's listening to sports. He's listening to really what the White Sox are doing in Pineapple League. All right, back to our story.
Okay, yeah, right.
This was a meeting where attendees heard ITR Economics' Lauren Sadel Baker present ITR's forecast for the year to come. And they also learned about the prediction for the depression that ITR believes will occur in the early 2030s. So she warmed up by telling the group that the economy, this is a quote now from the release, the economy is currently at somewhat of an inflection point, that 2025 leading indicators are turning up and an accelerating growth trend for the U.S. economy, which is still the biggest economy in the world, they add, is on the horizon. But Lauren cautioned, though, that not everything is rosy. ITR predicts that inflation will rise during 2025 into 26, which may cause the Fed to either pause lowering interest rates or lower them by a smaller amount than the market was hoping for. All right, it goes on, and so we'll go down to the money shot. ITR predicts that between inflation, federal spending, and debt, the next depression will occur in the early 2030s. This will affect all sectors, and ITR's recommendation is to identify safe assets that can be turned to in order to protect ourselves. But fear not, there's an upside. Quote, Lauren told attendees to be ready to invest at the trough of this cycle. This is going to be the greatest wealth-generating event of our lifetime.
What, the trough of the cycle in 2030?
Trough. You got to survive the trough is what it sounds like to me, Brian.
The trough.
You have to identify those assets that aren't going to get hosed and then invest them in the trough. That would be the Brian and Eric takeaway, I think.
Right. I don't seem to be very good at predicting those things.
I've just been trying to get out of the trough this whole time.
Yeah, me
We're going right back in it?
Yeah, shit. Really?
So there you go, folks. And if that made you feel a little depressed, I know that the Bolio brothers, or the Bewleys, take your pick on the pronunciation. I know they wrote a book called Prospering in the Age of Decline, which I have sitting here on my bookshelf. I did read it. It was about 4 years ago, I would guess, 5 maybe. Maybe I'll have to crack that open again, try and identify some of these asset classes that they favor, because they seem to know a lot, Bri.
Tell me what you decide. I'll be waiting with bated breath.
Insider information, huh? All right. Well, you can get your own insider information from the fastener industry on the next episode of Fully Threaded Radio. I think we've shared enough today.
Well, these ITR people, they didn't really say whether nuts and bolts would count as a safe asset.
Good point, Bri. Well, food for the next episode for sure. And I'm sure you're talking to the right audience when you throw that one out. Maybe we should all stock up now.
Nuts and bolts.
Yeah, you got the right crowd for that one for sure. Well, with that, we're going to put this episode of Fully Threaded Radio in the can. Sure do appreciate you joining us.
Oh, yeah.
For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, try and identify safe asset classes. We'll talk to you next time.
We will. See you next time, folks.
You
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse.